my favorite activities that I did was looking for ways to provide multiple means of action and expression in the activity of balancing the checkbook. So I thought, which guideline would help support my students in balancing the checkbook? And I thought, well, we need to increase the students' understanding of this. And so we were going to use physical action in order to do it. So as students came into class, what I did is I printed out all of these different slides here on a PowerPoint presentation. And I printed them out and I gave them to each student as they walked into the room. Then I asked each student to stand up and find somebody in the room with the corresponding transaction. So this right here was what the bank said you had. This is what your register said you had. And so if a student, say for instance, had a 3533 transaction, they would want to find somebody with the same transaction at the bank, okay? And so if they didn't find it, like we have here, they stood up and they kept standing up. However, if they found somebody with the same transaction, so let's say that this person right here who had a bank statement found a transaction for $36.78, they would go and find the same person with that same transaction and they would sit down. Well, by the end of the 5 minutes or so that it took, we had 3 or 4 students standing up. Then what we did is we acted out the whole process of balancing a checkbook. And so we had, this was the balance in our check register, and this was the balance in our bank. So we literally had all the bank people stand on the bank side of the board. All of the check register people stand on the check register side of the board. And if they had the transaction in their checkbook, they had to walk across and subtract or add whatever the transaction was on the other side. So eventually we were able to balance everything out. It was a great way of using physical action in order to assess students as a group, their understanding. It wasn't an individual assessment, it was a group assessment, and it worked very well. From there, we did individual practice where students were able to do this same exact activity now with an actual spreadsheet or a physical piece of paper. It helped my students understand this particular concept so much better.